Hello everybody, in today's class of biotechnology and its application, we are going to study about what we had studied in our previous class of biotechnology principles and processes. In this chapter, the three things which has been highlighted are providing the best catalyst in the form of improved organism. Okay, and usually it can be a microbe or it can be a pure enzyme derived from that of the microbe, because we have to culture it and we have to think about increasing its quantity in terms of industry, because if it is to be used by the human being on a large scale, so it has to be produced in an industrial scale. So that is why we have to think about improving the organism or the enzyme which is responsible for obtaining the product of our desired benefits on a larger scale. So that is the first thing which is to be kept into mind regarding the application of the biotechnology. The next thing is creating an optimal condition. Now see students, this is very much essential. If you have found a new microorganism, or if you have modified a new microorganism by introducing a required gene in it, then after doing that you need to provide the optimal conditions for the growth of that microorganism. Until and unless you do so, the microorganism will not be flourishing at a larger scale and it will not be in a massive form to be benefiting the mankind or the humankind as a whole. So we have to think about providing that microorganisms all the optimal conditions through engineering for a catalyst to act. Okay, so we have to think about those optimal conditions which has to be used at a large scale to obtain the catalyst or to obtain the required desired product. Next is, now after you have found out the microorganism, after you have found out the catalyst, or after you have found out the desired product, now this product has to be industrially obtained. Now we have learnt in our previous chapter that to obtain something industrially we need a bioreactor, and bioreactor is a kind of a large apparatus in which a constant process of formation of the product, of the desired product on a large scale is formed. That is, inoculum as well as the culture media, everything is put into the bioreactor from one direction. pH is maintained, temperature is maintained, then that is stirring is done, and from the other side the required product is obtained, and the waste which is generated is also removed out constantly, and it is a continuous process to obtain it on a large scale, the product, and this process is known as your downstreaming method. So all these three things is kept into mind in terms of application of biotechnology, which is our ultimate target. Now in this chapter, the biotechnology, its application has been dealt under various topics. The first topic which is dealt in this particular chapter is about application of biotechnology in the field of agriculture. Now if we talk about agriculture, see agriculture, soon after the Indian independence, the Green Revolution took place, and as a result of the Green Revolution, threefold increase in the crop production took place, but that also was not sufficient to meet the food requirement of the ever increasing population of India. And the things which were kept into mind while increasing the food production is that is application of your organic farming, then application of your genetically modified organisms, and also one more thing that is called the agro-based chemical agriculture. Now what is this agro-based chemical agriculture? In which we are using the organic things along with that of the chemical based that is your things which is required for improving the crop production. So all these things are done togetherly to improve the crop production, and then the ultimate target can be achieved, but still it is in progress, it is happening, and we are still thinking about more and more better technologies to be inculcated in the field of agriculture so as to increase the food grains, because because of the overgrowing population of India. Now in the previous chapter we have learnt about, that is if you remember, microbes in human welfare. There we have talked about one kind of bacteria which is called as your Bacillus thuringiensis, if you remember, and in short form we call this that is organisms which that is your gene which isolated from that of Bacillus thuringiensis into crop plants like that of cotton plant, or like that of your corn plant, or like that of your tomato, brinjal and all. And what actually happens in case of this kind of variety of crops is that this gene which is introduced into this kind of plants, what happens is that when the insect which is of course belonging to that of your various groups of insects like the bollworm, like the caterpillar and all. So when they eat the leaves or the young stems of these plants which is genetically modified, that is Bt cotton variety or Bt corn variety, then what happens is that as a result of it, this toxin which is in inactive form, it becomes activated in the alkaline media of the gut or the intestine of the insect. So once the alkaline environment is obtained, then the toxin which was in inactive form, it becomes activated, and as a result of it, the intestinal epidermal cells are there are created some kind of pores through which the lysis of the cells takes place, and as a result of it, the organism dies. Now, why does not it happens to the bacteria itself if this poison or this toxin gene is present within this Bacillus thuringiensis itself? The reason is because in case of Bacillus thuringiensis, the gene is in the form of your inactive form. So it cannot create the same kind of problem of lysing the cell membrane of the bacterial cell, and as a result the bacteria itself is harmed because of the toxin which is in inactive form in the bacteria. But once it comes into the gut of the insect which feeds upon these genetically modified crops like the Bt cotton or the Bt tomato or the Bt brinjal, then in them, because of the alkaline nature of their intestine, it becomes activated, and as a result of it, the toxin now creates kind of pores, perforins. The proteins are created which will cause the perforation in the wall of the organism's gut, and as a result of it, the organism soon dies, and there is no need of using the biologic that is your chemical pesticides or that of insecticides to ward off the insect. So that is the benefit of that of your genetically modified organism, that is of your Bt cotton or Bt corn or Bt brinjal or Bt tomato. Okay, so this is genetically modified organism, or these organisms are called transgenic organisms because their genes has been altered, and as a result of alteration we are getting the benefit out of these organisms. So that is how the crop improvement is done by the application of a foreign gene. Now this foreign gene can be not only introduced into the plants, but the foreign gene can also be introduced into the animal cell, it can be also introduced into the bacterial cell, or it can be even introduced into the fungal cell, and as a result of introduction of this foreign gene, a desirable product is obtained, which of course can be utilized for the benefit of mankind. Okay. Now the next thing is that this genetically modified organisms, as it is called as your GMO. Now these genetically modified organisms are created keeping in mind various kinds of characteristics. Like for example, when the experiments are done related to changing of an organism into genetically modified organism, it is always kept into mind to keep these organisms which are prepared, they are that is drought resistant, they are salinity resistant, they are insect resistant, they are pest resistant, and sometimes some genetically modified organisms are created keeping in mind to create a kind of product which will be supplemented with that of some kind of vitamins, like vitamin A enriched rice. Now rice basically we all know is a good source of carbohydrate, but along with getting the good source of carbohydrate, if the same variety of the rice is modified by just introducing a gene into it which can enhance the production of vitamin A naturally within the rice plant, so that the person who is consuming it not only get the benefits of carbohydrates but also gets a additional supplement of vitamin A. So this will be a added advantage or a good thing for the society or for the mankind. So there will not be vitamin A deficiency if one gets with the same kind of thing, that is the carbohydrate as well as the vitamin A. So keeping these things into mind, genetically modified organisms are created. Then there are certain genetically modified organisms which are created who can take up the nutrients from the soil in a desirable quantity. It should not be like a crop plant is growing and it takes up all the nutrients at a time. Then what will happen? The soil will become deficient, or it will be depleted of the natural nutrients very soon. So if there will be an economical use of the nutrients by the growing plants, in that case it will be helpful in the long run. So it will not be depleting all the nutrients at a time. So genetically modified organisms through research, of course, is created keeping all these characteristics into mind, that is drought resistant, then that is your flood resistant. Sometimes some plants are, as I told you, salinity resistant. Sometimes some are there which can grow in specific pH of the soil determines the growth of the crops. So if that also can be altered in case of some plants, that will be also beneficial. So keeping all these things into account, the genetically modified organisms are created by the scientists, so that in long term in agricultural practices we are benefited. Just by growing one crop we are getting so many desirable products at a time. Fine. Next is, these genetically modified organisms are also created keeping into account that there should not be post-harvest losses. Sometimes some organisms are highly infested with fungal attack soon after the harvesting. That means moisture control, if it is not done in these kind of plant products, if they are not dried properly, then soon it is attacked by the bacteria or by that of the fungus, and as a result there is a post harvest loss. So that also has to be taken into account, that these organisms must be resistant to the attack of the fungus or the bacteria which attack the products, that is the grains, soon after the harvesting. Also another, you can say, benefit of the genetically modified organism is that these organisms not only serves as a good source of agricultural plants, but also they serve as a very important thing in terms of providing biofuels, providing some other that is your secondary products in terms of industrial applications like the pharmaceutical industries, okay, like that of the fertilizer industries, that is many other things which is of course related to that of the agriculture industry. So basically fundamentally we are making these organisms keeping into account the agricultural benefits, but along with the agricultural benefits, these are also acting as a supplement for the other industries like the fuel industry, or like that of the fertilizer industry, or like that of the pesticide industry. So you can say that these acts as a raw material for some other industries which can be benefited in their aspect. So not only agriculture but other industries also can be benefited by this genetically modified organism. Okay. Now I explained one of the genetically modified organism as your BT cotton. Similarly, there are progress being going on related to the change of the many other organisms regarding the supplement, food supplement as we call it, that is just by eating the food if we are getting some other benefits, like I told you about the rice varieties are there, in which just by taking the rice we are getting the added supply of vitamin A. Okay. Next is the introduction of pest resistance genes. Pest resistant genes in some plants, like most of the crop plants are affected by that of a certain group of nematodes. One such nematode is Meledogine incognita. Now what happens is that this organism affects the roots of the tobacco plant, and as a result the tobacco plant dies. All the standing crop in the field, it dies just prior to maturation of the tobacco leaves. So it is a economic loss for the farmer. So there is a novel strategy or a novel technology which is involved. It is called as your RNA interference. Okay, let me write it over here. Okay, it is called as your RNA interference. Now what is this RNA interference? This RNA that is your interference is the sequence of the RNA which is made double stranded. Now RNA is single stranded, so if the complementary double strand of that particular or the specific RNA is done, then that will do what? That will silence the mRNA. That will silence the mRNA. As a result, that molecule only will not be produced. And if that poisonous molecule is only not produced, then definitely the root system of the plant will not be affected. So it is silencing the mRNA. That is, it is not letting the RNA to express itself. Okay, because you know DNA can express only in the form of RNA, isn't it? We all know that. So if the DNA, which is responsible for the synthesis of that segment of the RNA, which will be producing that molecule, which will be harming, which will be poisonous enough to, you know, kill the standing tobacco plant, if that is silenced, how it is silenced? By making it double stranded. Now how it is made double stranded? By complementary base pairing. Now complementary base pairing is done to artificially it can be done, or else what it can be done is that there is a bacteria, Agrobacterium tumeficans. Now this bacteria can act as a vector, and that segment of the gene which is responsible for producing this poisonous molecule from the nematode, if it is introduced into the host plant cell, then it will be producing the RNA, and if it is supplied, if it is paired with that of the complementary another RNA molecule, so then there will be complementary base pairing between the RNA, and as a result of it, it will not be able to affect, or it will not be able to destroy or kill the plants by affecting the root system of the plant. So this technique, this you can say the biotechnology or the genetic engineering, by the use of the vectors, so as to that is your silence the RNA sequence so that it does not affect the standing crop, is known as your RNA interference, RNA small I. Okay, so this is a novel strategy or a novel practice, that is to how to tackle that is your pests in case of the crop plants like that of your tobacco. So one example of your application of biotechnology includes your that is your BT variety of that is cotton or corn, because it has a protein, it produces a protein which is responsible, that is cry gene is there, which produces a crystal of proteins which is in inactive form in the bacteria, that is Bacillus thuringiensis, but it becomes activated once it comes to the intestine of the organism, that is the bollworm or the that is caterpillar, and it destroys the epidermal cells of the intestine of this organisms, killing the organisms. So there is no need of external application of any kind of pesticides or any kinds of insecticides. So this is the application of biotechnology in terms of agriculture, and how to improve the agricultural variety in various aspects, and how the GMO is prepared by keeping into account various kinds of properties on which the work has to be done, that is abiotic stresses can be overcome, or how it can be applicable for the other industrial products like fuel, like fertilizer, like pesticides, etc. So today in our introductory class, only this much, that is what is the application of biotechnology, and what is its application in terms of specially agriculture. We will continue in our next class with the coming topics. That's all for today's class.